Well, Mike, I've been here since 1954. I started the company with my father and my three brothers. My father's goal in life was to start this stone company with his sons, and he had worked in charge of production for another company in Kasota all his life, and his father before him.
Oh.
And he had bought this quarry land during the Depression in the 1930s with the idea that when his sons grew up, he would have the raw material supply. This quarry had been operated after the Civil War until about 1900, and then with the advent of Portland cement concrete, the stone couldn't compete any longer with concrete, bridges and abutments and tunnels and that type of thing. So the quarry was closed here. But my father used to hunt in through this area and was familiar with the quarry and bought that. So he had a really singular goal in life, and he fulfilled his goal. So at our original site here, 34 acres. Well, at the size that my father envisioned the company to be, it would be many lifetimes at that point.
Gotcha.
I think we got quite a bit bigger than he ever envisioned.
Okay.
Well, this is my 61st year on the job, and I've seen a lot of changes in technology, a lot of ups and downs in the economy, and we've been able to survive through the ups and downs, and we've done some very notable projects around the country and around the world. A very important project for us was the Norwest Center in Minneapolis, 57 stories, now the Wells Fargo Center, and WCCO-TV and the Twin Stadium in Minneapolis.
That's right.
And then the National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. And then we've done some notable foreign projects like Nippon Telegraph and Telephone in Tokyo, and some other very interesting foreign projects.
Okay.
Wow. I think the amphitheater has been one of our most fun projects, and it's really fun to go there on a summer evening and see how that gets used and see how people enjoy it. Okay. I think it's really worked out well for Mankato. My grandfather worked in stone in Germany, immigrated here in the 1880s, came to Kasota and started a monument shop. And then the people running the stone company at that time, which would be the B&W company, Babcock and Wilcox, noticed that he had some great talent, and eventually he ended up in charge of production for them. And then as he retired, then my father took over. So there's been quite a veteran presence in the stone industry for many years. Right, that's been kind of the story of the company. Right. They've all been bought out.
Okay.
Two are still alive. One died a few years ago. Well, I had 6 children that were working with me. One daughter died this past year. But my children have worked with me a total of 127 years.
Wow. Okay.
I stepped aside as the president and CEO in 2000, wanting the next generation to take over. It's vertical integration at its best. You know, it's kind of like Ford Motor Company mining the ore and processing it and making the steel and selling the cars. I mean, we take a product that's worth virtually nothing in the ground and put the total value into it. There are a lot of phases to the operation, from blasting to mining to hauling to the plant to sawing and grinding and shaping in the plant. And while that's going on, we have our technical department with our engineers and draftsmen and salespeople. So it's there are many phases, many departments to the operation. Normally the way it works is we like to get in, contact the architect early in the game. That we know, let's say a building at Gustavus, for instance. So we'll see in our building news reports that this building is contemplated and the architect has been selected. We'll contact the architect, our sales department will contact them, see if they have interest in the stone, see if they like any technical assistance in how to support or anchor the stone to the building and that type of thing. Try to get our stone specified, and usually we have competition bidding against us. If we're successful in getting the project, then it's a matter of closing the contract and then getting into shop drawings. We'll take the architect's drawings and more or less duplicate those, but to much greater detail. We show the exact size of the pieces, how they're anchored, how the gravity load is supported, how the wind load is taken as it's attached to the building, all details that have to be taken care of before the building can be built. Then those drawings go into the architect for approval to see if he approves the piece sizes, approves the way we're doing it. And once we have approved shop drawings, then we make an individual drawing of each piece. It goes into our plant. Yeah, there's a lot of detail work in this business. It's better if it's the right size.
Yeah.
When I started in the quarry in 1954, and we were still drilling holes with handheld rock drills. And once that hole was drilled, we put in what we called plugs and feathers, which was a wedge and a half round piece of steel on each side, and actually put those in each of these holes that were drilled 5 or 6 inches on center, and break that loose then with sledgehammers.
Okay.
So that was tough work. That's when men were men. And then we went from a drilling process for channeling to sawing in the quarry, and we've done a good job in staying up with the latest technology. To actually show the range here totally, it'd take, considering the direction of veining and the various colors, take 18 or 20 different specific types. Okay. Normally that's covered with the architect before the bidding. Okay. So he specifies exactly what he wants.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then we just follow through with that.
Okay.
A normal procedure is that he'll approve a certain range of colors, and then we keep those as record samples and check our production down the line against the approved samples. So okay. When he gets a stone on the job, it's the exact color that he envisioned it to be. Every project has to be delivered in sequence, so if we ship a truckload of stone, every piece can be set in sequence on the job.
Gotcha.
Otherwise it doesn't work well for the contractor. They've got a lot of stone stored and they got to sort through it, but if we ship a load of stone, the whole load can be set. By and large, we do most of the training here. All of our machine operators and that type of thing pretty much are trained here. We have drafters. Quite a few have attended South Central Technical College and engineering schools. No, we don't expect most of the employees to know anything about it when we hire them.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty rare that we hire anybody who's really experienced in what they end up doing here. So we're good at training people.
Yeah.
I won an award last week by Rotary Club, and I was just running through some of my good friends that I've made here, and there were 2 of them that were attended there. I had been here 46 years.
Wow.
And we had a Sawyer retire a few years ago. After 25 years, spent his whole working career here, basically 25 years. I got to thinking, geez, I was here 30 years before he came. I think maybe there's stone dust in the blood. I think maybe that's the best way to explain it. I knew from a little boy on what I was going to do with my life. And as a little boy, I was good with mechanical things, and I had a little quarry dug down in Kasota. The stone is close to the surface, and I had my own little quarry rigged up a derrick, and I quarried little blocks here instead of playing in the sand pile. Actually, I didn't really encourage him very much. I encouraged him they had to go out and get some other experience. They could not work here without having work experience someplace else, because they won't appreciate what we have here unless they've worked elsewhere.
Okay.
And that's true with grandchildren also. We have the first grandchild that's joined us. She's in sales on the West Coast, doing a great job. But it's a requirement that before they go to work here, they have to have worked someplace else. And then they have to want to come here. My father was a production man. Had made a lot of friends in the stone industry. So when he started the business here, he had good connections for the sales of our product. My oldest brother, Walt, actually took my father's job when my father retired. We didn't know if we could really support the whole family or not. And then, so after a year or two, he left his production job from another company and came here. Then one of my other brothers had been a school teacher. He retired from that and worked here. And then another brother who was in charge of the accounting and the sales also. And then me at the bottom, I ended up in the quarry.
Okay.
I've done about every job there is here.
Okay.
And no matter what I did, I really loved it. I'm kind of the security blanket a little bit, you know. Some of our older employees like a little gray hair around, and I'm good backup for the ones that are on the front line here.
Okay.
They have some good experience, and I've got a nice relationship with the whole family, and so they don't mind hesitating to ask what I think about this and think about that, but I make it clear that I'm not running the company.
Okay.
Yeah, Twin Stadium is one of my favorite projects. It was fun working with the pole lads on that and developing it, and quite a different appearing building. So that was great fun. We don't have our most notable projects up here necessarily, but they're interesting. We have a quarry also in Alabama, and so quite a few of the pictures that you see up here are of our Alabama stone. I noticed through the years trends away from the earth tones like we have toward to white and gray, and noticed some years when our business was down because of the trend for other colors.
Okay.
And that's why we purchased this quarry in Alabama, which is a pure gray limestone, very high quality, but it broadens our color range.
Gotcha.
Broadens our product line. And our jobs tend to be that way. You can see this balustrade, the stairway behind here. Here's a curved stairway. The jobs we do in Alabama stone tend to be more classic, larger jobs than we often do in Minnesota. Big government buildings, courthouses, and that type of thing. Well, there are always trends, but I think we're good at riding the various trends up and down. In fact, we just got an order for furnishing the stone for a 70-story office building in Manhattan. It's on the Central Park South. And that's an all limestone building, which is fairly rare nowadays. We do a lot of work, you know, that people have no idea where the material came from. But if you walk down Nicollet Mall, for instance, you know, we've got a big presence there with those big vases that you see about 15 feet tall, we've done in our plant. And as you walk past WCCO TV and then look across the street, the Target headquarters, we've got the Twin Stadium not far down the street, and then if you take a left on, I think it's 10th Street, walk over to Orchestra Hall, that's our Alabama stone.
Okay.
So we have quite a presence there. We were very disappointed in that with the new $1 billion Viking stadium that they weren't able to afford any stone. And we're quite aggressive in the market, and we have a niche in the industry. We're highly respected for having a very good material and just being good at what we do. You know, have a good reputation for doing what we say we'll do and doing it on time and doing it capably with a good material. Yeah, we like to build long relationships with people, and we've got companies that we've dealt with since back in the 50s when we first started, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no friend like an old friend.